Listening and reading skills seem to underlie good note taking. Do you agree with that?
Definitely, definitely. So in lectures, always privilege listening first. Listening and understanding. And notes are just notes, just capturing the essence or a little point that's going to help you remember. Reading as well. Again, you don't want to just try to copy over what you're reading instead of thinking about it, right? You're going to have to take the time to grapple with that reading and try to understand what it's about at some point. So you need to do that on your first read through, is to try to understand what's going on, and then have your notes maybe capture the understanding rather than every nuance of the content. So you really do want to be privileging the active listening, the active reading. And then the note taking can be an additional way of combining the information in a useful way that deepens your learning. And as I keep saying, a way of thinking, thinking on paper and processing.
What do you say to the student who suggests that the professor's PowerPoint slides are sufficient to support their learning, and so they either don't need to take notes or can just use the notes their friends might offer them? And, basically not even bother going to class, perhaps.
Well, I would suggest they go to class, for sure, for sure. The first question I would ask them is really simple. How's that working for you? If it's working great for them and they're getting the grades they want and they're learning what they need to learn, I don't know how they're doing it. If they are, though, fine. That's great. I would think it's probably not working very well for most students, though, who are trying that approach. And in that case, the notes are super important for helping you learn the material and process the material. So just the PowerPoint slides, you probably even want to add in maybe your reactions to the PowerPoint slides, or a little bit of extra information, a way of rephrasing that helps you understand it yourself so that it really solidifies what you're learning in class. Notes that other people make, sometimes they're helpful. I guess if you're sick and you have to miss a lecture, it's certainly better than not having anything. But you're going to be doing the exam, not the other person. So you really need to understand the material yourself. And notes are a much more personalized way of capturing your learning for you, putting it in your own words, paraphrasing it, structuring it in a way that's meaningful to you. So it's much more helpful to have it be your own notes that you're using rather than someone else's.
So for the student, what is the point of notes if they have all the course information available to them anyway?
University courses are not about information. It's not just about swallowing a body of information and hoping it's going to stick to your brain. They're about learning, right? And learning means deepening and changing the way that you think. It actually expands who you are as a human being. And so taking notes is part of that. It's a way for you to make the ideas more your own, to work through the ideas, and again, really learn the material instead of just memorizing detail. A lot of students make the mistake of thinking, if I want to succeed in this class, I have to memorize everything. No, you need to learn it. And what is learning? Learning is changing your thinking and adding things and looking underneath the surface and adding deeper levels and deeper levels. And note-taking can actually help you do that because it can help you learn how to structure the information in deeper and more meaningful ways.
So what types of notes are there?
Well, a couple of the main types that we talk about, we do a reading and note-taking workshop that is very helpful for students, and I would certainly suggest they come and take that workshop where we talk about some different ways of taking notes. One of the forms of taking notes in lectures in particular, although you can also use it for taking notes on your textbook, is what they call Cornell notes. And it's a fairly simple approach. It involves preparing your page or your screen, if you take your notes on the computer, ahead of time so that you have one column, a smaller column on the left-hand side of the page that you're going to leave blank during the actual note-taking moments. And you're going to be taking down all the information that you think is important from the lecture in the larger right-hand column. So that's your notes as you go, okay? Then the key to the Cornell note method, it's not so much how you structure the page or whatever, it's this idea of making a commitment to review those notes that same day, preferably close to the lecture time, where you look at what you've written down in your right-hand column, and then you use the left-hand column to pull out key information or to direct your attention to something crucially important in that right-hand column. So it's a way of processing your own notes close to the time that you've taken them. It also is a time for you to fill in a little extra detail if you were in a hurry when you took those notes and so on. So if you do it that same day, you're going to remember. And if you get in the habit of doing it, it also gives you a chance to quickly review the lecture material that same day. Then what I would suggest, if you're using this method, when you go to the next lecture in that same class, pull out your lecture notes from the last class, and at the very least look at your highlight column, that left-hand column, to see what we talked about last class and what were the main points. Then you're much better prepared now to listen for the new lecture. And you've also built in some review there, a little bit of pre-studying that didn't take that much time, but can really help anchor your learning and keep you connected to the course and help you link this week's lecture to last lecture and so on.
What is the difference, Kathy, between notes from lectures and notes from reading?
The lecture notes do require the listening, so you're pulling out highlights. Reading notes, I would say it depends a lot on your purpose for the reading. If you're reading to support your course learning as you go along, doing the assigned readings, then the reading notes are about capturing the key elements of the reading as they connect to the course. Always keep in mind, what's the course about? Not necessarily even what is the reading about, but first, what's the course about? And then how does this reading connect? So your notes might be a chance to capture key information, but perhaps also jot down for yourself, see lecture note point on blah, 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 right? So you might want to be connecting the two sets of notes. But having said that, how you take the notes, again, there isn't any one best way for everyone. That's up to you. Try the strategies, see how they work for you. Are they helping you learn? Are they effective? Use what works. And if it's not working so well, try something different.
So I have a multi-part question. How in depth do a student's notes need to be, and does this change according to the reading material or the subject matter?
It certainly does change according to the course and the reading material and the subject matter. It's not about creating a perfect set of notes that faithfully recaptures absolutely everything. It's always about the course. What is the course about? What am I supposed to be learning in this course? And how does the reading material or the lecture material connect to the things that I need to be learning here? So you want to make sure that your notes reflect the course, as much as they reflect what's in the reading, or they connect the reading to the course. So in that sense, whatever depth that you need to do that is all you need to do. Sometimes students will show me notes that are really, really detailed, and they just capture absolutely everything, but they don't structure it on the page in any way that's meaningful or that helps you distinguish key points from supporting details or whatever. So they may be very in-depth notes. Those notes might actually be too in-depth for your purposes. So it really depends on the purpose and how central that reading is to the course, how it connects to your course themes and the key points that you need to be learning.
In closing, are there any other strategies that you can use to increase the success of your note-taking skills?
Well, I already mentioned the idea of being visual. So mind mapping is a very useful strategy, particularly for study notes down the road where you need to be combining things from the course. Exam questions are not given to you necessarily in the fashion that the information was presented exactly in class, right? They're all out of order and everything else. They require you to deeply understand and apply and connect the pieces of the course. Drawing things, mapping them somehow where you have like a main theme and you see what are sub-themes, what connects to what and in what way, can really help you sort out how things fit together in a course. So that can be a good strategy for taking notes as well. Or if you're writing a paper and you have research notes, you probably want to then take notes on your notes. The notes on the individual things you'll want to combine, maybe in some kind of map or outline that can help you move forward with your arguments in your paper. So those are things that the notes can be useful for as well.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.